So we need to do different types of writing, and so for that we need to do different types of reading. If you want to become a novelist, although to write a novel is generally like a creative kind of thing, but still if you want to know about the style of writing novels, or in other words, creative writing, you need to read a lot of those. I can tell you that most novelists are avid readers, voracious readers of other novels as well. If you want to become a scientist, you need to read scientific papers. If you want to become a storyteller, you need to read a lot of stories. If you want to become an academic writer, you need to do a lot of academic reading, and then a lot of practice on that, and a lot of reflections and questions and those kind of things. Now coming to the specific definition of academic writing is formal, structured, objective writing used for academic purposes. For example, if you are writing a letter to your friend, you don't need to be formal, it doesn't need to be structured, and it's not for academic purposes. But if you want to write an academic paper on an issue of academic interest, for example, the causes of the decline of the quality of education. Now this is something that needs, first of all, academic research, and secondly, formal, structured, objective writing. Examples of these include theses, research papers, academic books, academic essays, research, reports, literature reviews. Besides, we also have laboratory reports, conference papers, and research proposals. You just provided a sample of academic writing in the form of the research proposals that you submitted. You did that, right? Okay. Now look at the characteristics of academic writing. How should academic writing be? Number one, there should be objectivity. What is subjectivity? So it's not your personal feelings or emotions that you are writing, but objective presentation of social or natural phenomena or reality. Second, formality of language. So you do not say like my friend or yar or whatever, those kind of things. The vocabulary, the language that you use is formal and used in academic sense. Formality of style. It's not just the language that is formal, but the style in which you are presenting, that should also be formal. Third, coherence. What does that mean? You are connecting the various sections or parts of the whole academic report that you are doing. So, for example, in a research paper, the introduction is connected with the literature review and with the background. Then that is connected with your research questions and objective. That is then connected with your research methodology. That is then connected again with your data analysis and presentation. That is connected with your findings. That section is disconnected, then connected with your conclusions. Your conclusions are connected with your recommendations, and so on. So there is an overall coherence. Your whole research paper revolves around a centralized theme or a centralized topic. Then structure. There should always be formal structure, and the structure will depend on the institution in which you are actually conducting or working. So they have settled structures that you need to work on. Then evidence-based. You cannot make claims without having evidence for your claims when you are doing academic undertakings, especially academic writing. So you need to have evidence, and so evidence will be in the form of data, the analysis that you have done, and the findings that have come out of that evidence or that data. Rigor, very important. Your findings and conclusions should come out of rigorous research designs. So you should have done everything in order to get to the truth of things or the reality of things. You should, for example, one of the ways in which you can ensure rigor in your research work is to make use of triangulation. For example, collecting data through different means and combining and analyzing data in more than, for example, one way. So triangulation is one of the ways in which you can bring in rigor into your academic undertaking. Similarly, peer review or peer validation is also a form of bringing rigor into your data and into your data analysis. Then critical analysis. You are critical about your research design, your research findings, your research gap, and so you are not just accepting things without bringing in criticality into it, without looking at it in multiple ways. So that's something that is extremely important, critical analysis of your own data, your research design. For example, if you adopt qualitative research design, you need to critically analyze the why of it, the how of it. Why are you using qualitative research design? So when you are bringing in rationalization into your research design, that is something extremely important. Consistency. You are consistently using a uniform type of research structure throughout. For example, consistency of language, consistency of research, the research process, and so on, throughout the whole thesis. So there is consistency. And the other thing about consistency is, for example, if you used, if the use of vocabulary should be consistent. So if you are using one type of vocabulary for a particular type of concept in one chapter, and then in the next chapter or the next paragraph you are using another word or another vocabulary, that will not be consistent. So for example, I'm working on student teachers. Student teachers are also called prospective teachers. They are also called trainee teachers. They are also called beginning teachers. But if I use student teachers once in my thesis, I should consistently use student teachers. Otherwise, the reader will be confused. And so they might think that student teachers and prospective teachers are different things. But that's not the case. So that is why consistency of style, consistency of vocabulary, consistency of the language that we use is something that is extremely important. In academic writing, in the characteristics, contextualization, again extremely important. Contextualization means every research is bound in time and space. And so every research has its own context, its own background. And so you can't say that you conducted a research study in a particular area and it's not essential that you generalize it to other contexts. That's why it is important that we need to give detailed background of the area or the context in which we are actually conducting our research. Relevance and focus. Academic writing should not be wayward, where you are just like jumping from one idea to another idea to another idea. And the whole thing is connected, the whole thing is relevant, and so there is an overall focus. So if academic writing lacks focus, what will happen? That will be an issue. So the characteristics that we just described are actually the characteristics of good academic writing. Unfortunately, in many cases, the theses that we review do not have these kind of characteristics, and as a result, they generally get poor grades.